So, good day, everyone. We're here for another episode of the DVD show. So, for today, we have a NU women's basketball player and also a Gilas Pilipinas basketball player, especially now that she played in the recently concluded FIBA Asia Cup. So, I'll now welcome here on the DVD show Camille Clarin. Thank you for joining me here on the podcast.
Hello, happy to be here.
Thank you again, Camille, for joining me on the pod. And yeah, you said this is like a first week in a long time that you had a break after preparing for the FIBA Asia Cup, and you had like UAAP, Sea Games, and everything. So, how's the break been like for you? Like, what have you been doing, trying to relax and go out of
Sleeping,
the court first?
sleeping and eating. Honestly, I just arrived yesterday and I think I ate like double the amount I would eat in like one regular day when I was abroad in Australia. So for this whole week, I'm just checking out, no basketball, nothing, just relaxing.
How many months straight were you like playing basketball?
Um, well, we stopped. Well, UAP ended in December. I went home. And then starting February, we started for Sea Games training. And then there was really no break after that. We went to FIBA training. And at the same time, there was NU during all of that. So nonstop since February, I think.
Yeah, that's a long time. So yeah, talking about the FIBA Asia Cup, you mentioned it already that you just got home. So how was the tournament like for you guys? I mean, the win against Chinese Taipei was a huge one, and yeah, because before like we're never like in the higher division because there's like in the women's basketball there's like divisions, not like in I don't know if it's like that in men's, but then in women's it's different, and now we're like in the top tier and we could compete with them. We almost beat New Zealand. So how was the whole experience for you playing against like top tier Asian competition?
Definitely the start was grueling. I mean, we already knew who we were up against. We've played Australia in the last tournament. Um, and yeah, it was everything we expected and more. They're so big, so there's really no way around it. Like they're big and they hit all of their threes against us. So it was kind of a rude awakening, but we already knew that coming into this tournament because these teams are the best in Asia. So after that, who did we play? After
Japan?
Australia, yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
Japan, defending champions,
Yeah.
lost for the first time this year. We knew, honestly, I was more scared of Japan than I was of Australia because
Mm.
Japan plays like they're just having so much fun, but they destroy you with such ease. It's insane. But
Yeah.
those two games, I think we lost by almost combined 100 plus points. But going into that Chinese Taipei game, we knew like we had a good chance. This is always the team we kind of look forward to playing because we do have similar styles of play. There's like a long history of top teams in the Philippines going to training camps in Taiwan, and there's always been a good relationship between those two teams. So I don't know. It was just good energy going into that game. I think although we were down so much the first two games, we knew that like this is if there was a chance for us to finally break through in this FIBA Asia Cup, it was that game, and it all happened in our favor, thankfully.
Yeah, but talking about the first two games, you mentioned that Australia and Japan, like you want to learn from them, and they're like one of the most they're the best teams here in Asia. So like, how do you explain like their style? Like, why do you think it's effective aside from like the height or like the stuff that you can't really change, but more of like their plays or their schemes? Like, what makes it impressive that we could like emulate or other countries could emulate?
Well, I'll go with Japan. I'll talk about Japan more because yeah, really with Australia, it's like bully ball and everyone can just shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So with Japan, the way that they move the ball, the way that as soon as you give them a little inch of space, like they'll shoot it. The way that they just play together is insane. I don't know. I feel like everyone on that team is so skilled, so efficient. The way that they
Mm-hmm.
move, you wouldn't think that they get tired. Like honestly, all of them could probably each play 40 minutes a whole game and still be smiling at the end of it. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
it just goes to show that like their grassroots program is ridiculous because it feels like they never run out of good players. Like no
Mm-hmm.
matter who retires, there's still new ones to come up and join the force. But I think the way that they move the ball and the way that they shoot so efficiently, I feel like that's something we need to emulate, especially in the Philippines, because they really didn't have that big of a height difference against us. I think they were one of the teams that we were actually evenly matched with in terms of height. But on the court, it just didn't feel like it. Like the way that they pushed the ball, and their defense is crazy. It's like they love to play defense.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the way that they're in your face, you would think it's like a hand check, but it's not, because every time they touch you, they open up. They touch you, open up. I don't know how they do it. It's just everything that they do is so amazing to watch, and you'll only realize once you're actually playing against them.
Yeah, but since you mentioned that we could be like them in the future, how do you think that the country like Philippines, like the grassroots program and the development that you mentioned, do you think that we could attain something close to what Japan did if we like we focus well on how we build our women's basketball program?
Um, I mean, it definitely is possible. I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but I'm sure it takes a lot of effort and a lot of um, funding that definitely goes into that, because even just the team of Japan, they have someone for everything, someone for laundry, someone for plays, someone for strength and
Mm,
conditioning, someone for
yeah.
stretching. Like they have a whole team just dedicated to the players. And I think that here in the Philippines, it's not like that. You're definitely like giving multiple jobs to one person, even though there may not be their specialty. And I think their player development is definitely something we need to work on here in the Philippines. Of course, their players there, I feel like they're professional athletes. Like that's their life. That's what they dedicate all their time to, because there's professional leagues there, and that's what majority of them do in their off season or once they're done with FIBA. But here, it's like for us, it's like we have FIBA, and then we're off for another 2 years until the next tournaments. So I think if we were able to have something to look forward to, maybe more training camps, more skills developments, I feel like it would make the margin a little bit closer.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, I mean, it's a great stepping stone that we're already doing well in 5-5 and 3-3. But yeah, I want to talk about going. You mentioned the Chinese Taipei game, and for any team, it would be difficult. Like if you got blown out in your first two games, like why would you still have like the motivation to play the third
Mm-hmm.
game? Maybe it's like non-bearing anymore, or you just don't have confidence because you lost twice already. But for you guys, like with Coach Pat and the rest of the squad, like the leaders, like how did they continue to for you guys to have that hunger and still try to get that elusive win against Chinese Taipei?
Well, they described that game as the biggest game of your lives. That's what they
Mm-hmm.
called it before trainings, during trainings, right before tip off. It was a chance for us to finally not go to a relegation game. We always wait for it at the end of the. we always we always wait for. We play the pool games knowing that we're not gonna be able to beat any of those teams there. But in this chance, we knew we had a chance. Last 2021, we thought we had a chance, and then we got blown out by 30 plus or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this game, it all just kind of worked in our favor. We knew that we got blown out, but at the same time, we saw that Lebanon was also a really tough competitor. So we honestly didn't want to go to the relegation game because it was going to be difficult to have a win. Unlike when we were going up against India, we felt like we could really take that game. But against Chinese Taipei, it was just everybody wanted it. You could feel like from the warm up, everyone was in it on the same page, and I think it all just clicked once we got into the court.
Is that how it works? Like if you lost that game, you could get relegated. Like how's the format for
Yeah.
FIBA Asia
So
Women's?
so you guys have pool play. So there's two different groups, and then you each play 3 games, and
Okay.
then the number one seed goes through to the semifinals,
Yeah.
and then number 2 and 3 will play against each other opposite. So um, number 2 of our group played against number 3 of the other pool,
Mm-hmm.
and then vice versa. And then the two bottom teams of those pools will have to play against each other in a relegation game. So once those two play against each other, the loser will move down to Division B.
Oh, okay. And then Division B winner, will they go up
We'll
like
go
their
up.
division?
Yeah.
Ah,
So
okay.
last year, Lebanon won and India lost. So they switched.
Oh, okay, okay. So yeah, but yeah, going up against Chinese Taipei, didn't get to watch the whole game, but then parts of it, you guys were terrific on both ends. But for you, what do you think you were able to bring like for the following games? Like you guys, like I don't know if there you saw the spread, like New Zealand was like ahead by like 21 and like the betting stuff, but then you guys only lost by 5. So
Really.
people saw you guys as major underdogs. So for sure you brought something from that Chinese Taipei games. What were like the offensive schemes or defensive plays that you guys really brought to the next games?
To New Zealand?
Yeah, to the following games after Chinese Taipei.
Yeah. Basically we brought the mentality first of all that we can do it. Like we felt what it felt like to win, and so moving forward, we knew that it wasn't impossible anymore. But I guess against New Zealand, we knew that they were almost similar sizes to Australia. So we wanted to do what we do best was push the ball, get the ball moving. But honestly, it was really just two players on New Zealand that killed us.
Oh, okay.
I yeah, it was like just two people who had both. One had 34 points, one had 25, something like that.
Wow. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I think we put an emphasis on kind of playing team defense, but we definitely could have adjusted to focus, hone in more on that one girl because she just destroyed us. I feel like anything we threw at her, she could adjust. So kudos to her. She's really good. But yeah, offensively, I think we kind of just wanted to keep our flow, move the ball a lot more, get the ball inside and out, get their big man in foul trouble. We did a really good job on her, I think, in the first half, first 3 quarters actually. She didn't contribute as much as she normally did in the past few games, but once she got like more involved, like it was a lot harder to guard her.
Yeah. Yeah, playing against a team like New Zealand, and yeah, you're getting to learn a lot of experience. But then I'm not sure like what the next tournament is. So how do you guys sustain this kind of like chemistry that you guys had, this energy, that the hunger you guys had to like play in this tournament? Because I'm not sure when you guys will like meet us again as a team. Like some national teams, it takes them like months before you guys train again for whatever tournament. So yeah, how do you think like Coach Pat and the rest of the coaching staff can continue like building off this tournament?
I think maybe having another set of practices, let's say like it doesn't have to be every week the way that we trained before, but maybe like 3 times a week or something. I know that the team will have 2 upcoming tournaments, maybe a training camp in Jordan in a couple of weeks, and then Jones Cup in August. But a lot of the players who are from FIBA Asia Cup have not decided yet if they're going to be joining those tournaments. Especially us UAP players, it's getting too close to our schedule, so we won't be a part of those tournaments. But I think yeah, it's too long of a break, the 2 years, to go off completely. Like that's what usually happens. Like after SEA Games in 2022, it was a less of a break because it was only 1 year back to back. But this time, the next tournament we have will be 2025, like the ones that are
Oh,
SEA
okay.
Games or FIBA. So yeah, I think just doing stuff as a team that doesn't even have to be basketball, honestly, like team building stuff, going on vacation together, just keeping that core together is a big difference because if you've seen other SEA Games teams, they have tournaments throughout the years. They train consistently every year. So I think we need to adapt that um, same mentality just because training 2 3 months before it's not I don't agree with that. I think it's
Yeah.
definitely difficult to get that kind of chemistry that quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, how about you personally? You mentioned that you're still gonna play in the you're still not done with your UAAP playing years and playing in like international competition. It gives you an edge over your opponents in the UAAP. So what do you think is your like advantage over these people that you've been playing internationally for a couple of years now compared to like your opponent? So well, what gives you that edge over them, and how do you like continuously like utilize it at the collegiate stage?
I think just being able to play against such good players, you're forced to really bring your best effort every time you step on the court and just learning from the way that they play as well. like little things, the way that they move the ball, the way that they cut, like those little things make a big difference to the game here in the Philippines, especially because there's so many different ways to play basketball. And I think that we've only touched the surface here in the Philippines and we could be so much better. So having more and more college players, younger players going internationally, I think is really going to help the Filipino scene of basketball get better. I think personally, more of the experience, it just goes to show that there's so much I personally need to work on to be better here because my role in FIBA is much different from my role in NU. So
Mhm.
learning from just even from my teammates, how to be that person for NU the way that they are for FIBA. I think that's the experience that I always love to take away, and that's why I always love playing for Gilas because of my teammates. Like just learning from them because they've been through UAP. They've been through having to go through the grueling schedules and having to play against teams that may not be as competitive as NU, but still want it just as much. It's a good experience to learn from people who've been there already.
Yeah, and you're talking about like experiences and you learning from experiences. It's good to go back for my guests. I always ask them about their like childhood and upbringing and how you fell in love with the basketball and how you're able to be successful now for NU and the national team. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's correct, but I saw on the internet that you were born here in the Philippines and but then you grew up in
That
Canada.
is
Not sure,
that's
not sure if
wrong.
that's
I don't know about that, but that's wrong. So I was
okay.
born and raised in Canada. Up
Okay.
until up until high school, I lived there. From high school, I moved to the States for boarding school. All 4 years, I went to boarding school. And then I decided to go to the Philippines for college. Yeah, that's the
Oh,
breakdown.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So yeah, whatever I saw before this episode was wrong. But yeah,
yeah,
talking about
I've
that.
seen that too.
Oh, okay. Okay. So yeah, talking about that. Yeah, growing up in Canada, how is like the basketball culture there? I mean, like I know there are NBA players like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, like Andrew Wiggins from Canada, but like comparing it to like the Philippines or the US, how's basketball different there? Like was basketball like your priority when you were a childhood, or were there other sports since like Canada's known for other sports as well that you were into when you were that age?
Um, at first, it wasn't a priority. I actually, being a Canadian, I went into figure skating. That was my first
Yeah.
sport. So yeah, figure skating was a big part of my life for like 3, 4 years, and then I got burnt out, so I quit. I did like little sports in between, like swimming, golf, volleyball, but nothing stuck until
Mhm.
I decided to play basketball because my sister and my dad were always involved in basketball. Like the Filipino basketball community in Canada is insane. Like the way it is here, it's the same in Philippines, just I guess on a smaller. It's the same in Canada, just on a smaller scale. But if you know the right people and you're always in the community, it feels like it takes over your life. So once I was around 10, 11, that's when it just like took over my life. Like it was basketball, everything, basketball summers, winters. You travel to the States, everywhere. But the thing is, it wasn't hard to find basketball the way that it is here. Like as a girl, I did start playing with boys first when I was younger, just because there wasn't enough girls teams. But then, like 2 years after, there were so many programs. You would compete against hundreds of different girls from Canada, and like some of those girls I'm still friends with till now. They're also still playing basketball like all over the world. So it just goes to show like the community starts when you're younger, but it definitely doesn't go away no matter where you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about the community, like do you guys play in like leagues? That's how do you make sure that like the players there like develop and like you developing now play being an integral part of the Philippine basketball program? Like how's the community there? Like what are the activities you guys do? How do you make sure there's like growth for the players?
Like every city, the way that it is here, every city has a rep team. So you can go to different cities and try out for different rep teams, and those compete in a league in the province. So like my province is Ontario, so we all have a league where there's different levels. There's divisions that go all the way until like Division 8. So imagine you have 12, 15 plus teams
Yeah.
times 8 divisions, like
Yeah.
over hundreds of teams playing. So then from there, you also have summer teams, AAU teams.
Mm-hmm.
So the best of those divisions go into one team or maybe like 4 or 5 teams that represent Canada, and then they go and play against teams in the States.
Oh,
And then
okay.
from there, there's also provincial teams. So the best of the 12, I don't even know how many provinces and territories are in Canada anymore, but the best from those compete to be like the champion of Canada. So then it just goes to show there's so many different divisions, so many different levels of play. So as long as you're willing to put in the work, and there's always camps everywhere that are accessible to almost everyone. Like if you're willing, all what's the word? Like everything's there for you. You just have to go and grab it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but you're playing in these camps and having the opportunity to have a lot of opportunity in honing your skills. Like, how would you describe like your style? Like, how do you make sure that you're like effective or you're still different from these players? Like, how do you stand out from the competitors you have being in this camp? And yeah, you leaving a mark in your school there or your club there.
I think ever since I've always just been like a natural leader on the court. So like little things like being the first in line, be,
Mm.
being willing to like demonstrate the drills, always listening to the coaches, kind of like putting in that extra effort to be like, I'm here, like, I want to be better. Like I will show you that I'm gonna be better. Yeah, I think that's like usually my advice when I talk to like some of the girls here. It's like you can't be afraid that like whenever you're in a big group of people because you have to stand out some way. Like no one's gonna go reach out to you personally. Like it's up to you to put your foot down and step out and be someone special because there's so many different players. You're gonna play against hundreds of different players, so hundreds, thousands, honestly. It's like what's gonna make you stand out compared to all these other players. So that's for you to find out because you have to be comfortable with it as well. Like some people, you don't have to be the vocal leader like that. Like that was my thing because there's always girls who are better than me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm willing to speak, I'm willing to ask questions, stuff like that. Those little things make a big difference.
Yeah, but yeah, being like a leader at that age, and yes, that's like you could say like it made you stand out. But at what age or at what juncture of your like teenager, young adult life did you feel that you could really pursue basketball at like a more serious level? Because some people just join the camps and they enjoy it, and then but then when it's like college already or when it's the latter part of high school, they just decide to do something else.
I think probably the last year of elementary going into high school.
Mm-hmm.
I had been playing a lot for like the provincial teams and then going into AAU, which is the summer leagues in the States. And then like I had the chance to either kind of stay in Canada and play for my local high school, which was just like not good at basketball, like just for school strictly, like where all my friends would go. But I felt like it was kind of like cheating myself out of what I thought I could do. So like I just took the risk and moved to Florida, I think where I knew nobody. I just had the opportunity to play basketball against people who were so good. Like the States definitely has more competitive players, and more chances for you to go somewhere where you want to. So I think that taking that risk was definitely like the start of me telling myself like this is going to be a long journey ahead, but like if you're willing to take that opportunity, to take that risk, like things will fall into place.
Oh, okay, yeah. So being able to play in Florida, and I think that's what I saw also online that you were able to play there. I wanted to also know that you be playing in an all boys league that you mentioned earlier. Like, how did that help you? Like, did it were you like intimidated, frightened at first? Did it help you being able to play in more serious league like the one in the United States? Like, how did that like propel you to like be more confident or be more like trusting in yourself that you were able to play in an all boys league and you survived and you competed with them?
Yeah, so this all boys league was a Filipino league, and a lot of those people that I played against are still my friends till now, still support
Oh,
me in
okay.
basketball and everything. So it was a great start for my basketball career, but I feel like being going against guys, especially at a young age, like of course they think like, oh, this is so weird. Like, why is there a girl playing here? Like, they wouldn't want to pass you the ball and stuff. So I really had to like earn my way in the league. Even with my teammates, I had to earn my way through, earn my respect, and earn their trust. I think working to show them that like I don't just because I'm a girl, it doesn't mean I can't do the things that you guys are doing. And I think they realized that once they like got me involved and allowed me to play that the way I play, like, oh, she can actually help. So I think that as much as it was help for me, I think it was even a big help for them to realize that like, oh, like girls and boys, like it doesn't matter. Like everyone deserves a spot as long as you work hard, as long as you prove yourself. So I think that being able to prove myself at like such a young age and like a really weirdly defining age of puberty for girls and boys, it's just like I think that they realized for me as well that like I I have a spot wherever I can as long as I'm willing to earn it.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so that's I'm pretty sure it helped you a ton, like yeah, for your next like ventures in basketball. But how many years did you play like in the US before you decided to play like here in the Philippines? Like was that like 4 years in your high
4 years
school?
high school.
Oh, okay. So how was that experience and why did you decide to eventually play in the Philippines? I mean, if you're like the other side of the world, I mean, you do have Filipino blood, but then you're on the other side of the world and like it's more like higher level of competition
Yeah.
and you were succeeding, you said in Canada and in the US. So how was that experience and why you suddenly also change and play here in the Philippines?
Yeah, so I tore my ACL midway through my high school career. So
Mm.
in terms of recruiting, the schools that I wanted to go to, I didn't get any offers from them. So although life seemed like it was good, like this like injury was definitely like a big lull and kind of changed the trajectory of where I thought I was going to end up after going to these high schools. It's like my idea was I get to go to these high schools so I can get the exposure to go to the schools that I want to. But I got the exposure, but I was injured and I couldn't do anything about it.
Mm.
So it just happened that there was an opportunity to play for Gilas in the summer. So because I was still undecided about where I was going, I was like, okay, let me just play for them. So then once I played for that, I was also in contact with coaches here in the Philippines. Um, so then NU had made the offer that if I wanted to try it out for 1 year, like there's nothing to lose really, because to pay for school in the States is super, super expensive.
Okay, yeah.
So I just had to decide like if I wanted to try it out, like nothing to lose, try it out for 1 year here. If I like it, I can stay. So yeah, just life didn't turn out the way I wanted it to be. So a backup option came and it ended up being the best option. So,
Are you like Phil Canadian or like Filipino? Like what's like your
yes,
lineage?
well technically I'm full Canadian just because I was born there, but I'm full Filipino. Both of my parents are full Filipino.
Okay, okay. Because yeah, it says like you're Canadian, like in the articles, like it makes it
Yes,
sound like you
because
have Canadian blood.
yeah, I guess just because I was born there, technically that's what it means.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. But yeah, talking about like these hurdles that you endured, like you had a vision that you wanted to possibly play collegiate ball in the States, and then it took a drastic turn. Like, how did you like keep yourself like level headed and guarded that you to make the proper decision making? Like, did you have like a friends or did you have like your family? I have some articles that you're close to like your family, like they went to one of the Gilas games abroad and they even watched your game in NU against UST, I think, in the latest season. And like, so you have, I think you have a strong like support system. So during those tough times when you were younger, you weren't like 18 yet. Like, how difficult was that, and how did they help you get over it?
I think support system is the biggest. Like since I was in boarding school and I was like teenager, I wasn't that close with my family. They would always make the effort though to go wherever I was to watch my games. Like so I would always see them. It was never that difficult to be away from them from too much, but I think that really finding comfort and trust in my teammates and my roommates because at boarding school, that's who you live with you every single day, how many months out of the year. So I got really close with a lot of people there, and they definitely helped me through all of everything that I went through, even like up until making decisions about where I should go to college. Um, Without them, yeah, for sure, like I would not have kept sane, especially during my injury. Um, yeah, just I think something that a lot of people forget, like having a good group of friends, and a good people around you, like that makes the world of a difference.
Yeah. Did they also help in like giving you like you'd say na it's like a backup option to play here in NU in the Philippines compared to the States? Did they also help tell you like the positives or like why you also go here? Like did they give you guidance on that?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Like my coach from high school is like one of my best friends. Till this day, like I still think he's like one of the best people I've ever met. He like
Mhm.
really helped me through it, giving me the options of as many schools as he could possibly give me, like just so that I had the option. But once I really like talked it through with certain people, it was kind of clear that I was risking more on a place that I necessarily didn't want to go to if I stayed in the States. It was kind of just like bailing out on the whole basketball career thing. Whereas if I could go to the Philippines, like I really had a chance to be someone special and like do something different. It might not have been the most competitive league, but like going there, I could play for my country at the same time. So there was just a lot going for the Philippines option compared to the US option.
Yeah, so they're talking about your Philippines stint. I want to know the story. Like, how did you decide like to go here? Like, did you fly here alone? Like, how was it? Was it your first time here in the Philippines when you got here? Did you get culture shock? Like, yeah, what was the story and how did you get acclimated to the whole country?
Yeah, so I come to the Philippines like almost every other year
Oh,
before coming to
okay.
the Philippines. So I'd always been here. Like it was nothing really new to me, but of course living here was definitely a big adjustment. It was good that I was roommates with Kelly Hayes and Jack Animum. Um,
Mm.
both of them are not are would definitely make me feel like at home. Like I didn't feel like I was like with strangers who I didn't know. They made the transition really easy. Like we were a good trio. Like we would always eat good food, whatever. Um, yeah, honestly, the adjustment wasn't that big. Like I thought it would be a lot bigger, but I feel like I wasn't expecting much. And I think that's what
Mhm.
made it easier because I feel like once you expect, of course, coming from schools like in the Northeast where everything is provided for you, you're surrounded by
Yeah.
so many rich people. Like it could have been a culture shock, but I think I was going into it with an open mind and like not expecting anything at all. So that definitely made it easier.
Yeah. So what would you say was the something vastly different for you? Like, yeah, you talked about the like yeah, so many rich people, everything's provided for you. But other than that, like was the weather difficult? Was the traffic? Was the community or are you like do you interact with people very well, like whatever their upbringing is or whatever their ways are? So in that aspect, like off the court first, like was there anything different for you
Those
or was it
first two things, for
oh,
sure.
okay.
Like I hate the heat. I think even till now, it's still something I cannot adjust to. Like I love the snow, I love cold weather. So the biggest no for me is definitely how hot it gets. And then second, yeah, is traffic. Like you would think you can get like in Canada, you can get multiple things done in one day. You can drive 30, 40 kilometers all over the place and be done in like 2 hours. But here it'll take you 2 hours to drive 10 kilometers. Like stuff
Yeah.
like that is just like so inconvenient for me. But I guess at the same time, it just makes you prioritize like what you want to do.
Mhm.
And then I think that's really the big difference because like when it comes to food, like I would just order whatever I needed to order because I don't
Mhm.
know how to cook. So
Oh,
that was like
okay.
the big, yeah. Even like when I'm home in Canada, I always order food. So that was pretty much similar. But yeah, just the heat and the traffic were definitely my biggest red flags for the Philippines.
Yeah, but how about talking about the basketball side? Like you mentioned a lot of stories already about playing with all guys, playing in various camps and going against the other provinces. But playing here in the Philippines, like what is vastly different from Canada or US basketball in terms of what physicality, the style, like did you get surprised or I think you adjusted well because you were rookie of the year right away, but yeah, what are your
Oh no,
experiences or
I wasn't.
stories?
I wasn't. Ken Jane was, but um,
Oh, okay, okay.
I think that style of play definitely more physical. Like they were very aggressive the way that they played because in Canada and the States, like it's like more bully ball. Like if I'm bigger than you, like I'm gonna like show
Mm-hmm.
you my height, show you my strength. But here, because everyone's almost the same size, no one's that big of a difference of height or size. Like you could really tell it's heart over height. Like people are so aggressive the way that they play. Like they're not scared whether you're taller or bigger. So I was like that's very very interesting. Like I was pretty amazed by the way that some of these players could really like go out there and make a difference despite how small they were. And I think I definitely had a hard time because I'm used to playing against guards who are bigger than me.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I played was different. But when I'm here, like I had such a hard time dribbling the ball or like bringing up the ball because they're so small. So as soon as like you dribble it, they're right there in front of you, stealing the ball. So I would have like so many turnovers. But yeah, I guess like adjusting to that height in the opposite way was kind of hard for me. Like adjusting to people who are smaller and more feisty, kind of get all up in your space. That was like the big adjustment for me.
Okay, but yeah, playing for NU, I'm pretty sure you knew that they had a prominent basketball program, and they had like a winning
Hmm.
streak that wasn't broken. So did you come in like with that pressure that you needed to, you were like an integral piece of them, winning, or did you just play like normally? Like how did you enter the school? Yeah, with a active winning streak that long, because not everyone has that, even like in the other countries.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like the pressure was more with my teammates. Like I felt like I always had
Oh.
something to prove to them because of course like they're bringing me in from the States, from Canada, so of course they expect like a lot from me. I feel like some days I would show it, other days I definitely would not. So it was just like an ongoing battle. Me personally, like it's not like they would show to me that they thought I was any less, but
Mhm.
like of course for me personally, like I just wanted to always be like not let them feel like oh it was like kind of a waste getting me as a player. But pressure honestly on the team, let's be real, like no, there was none. Like I knew that this team, with or without me, with or without five of their players, honestly, if they only had five players, they would still dominate. Like my rookie year was such a strong team. Like I think that it made it easier because I didn't have as much pressure. I kind of just had to like learn from my seniors and kind of take their advice and compete with them. But I knew that at the end of the day, like they would still carry the team and have no problem winning.
Yeah, but yeah, playing for NU, I'm not sure if I asked Jack this because I got guested here like months before, and like yeah, you guys are the only two NU players I've had so far. But being in a team that's been winning a lot, like isn't it sometimes it's hard? There's like days when you take it for granted, maybe like at the early juncture of the game, like oh it's just we're gonna win anyways because we have the talent. But then how do you guys, maybe you as players and coaches, how do they keep you guys motivated that we're gonna win another championship this year, another championship? I mean, it may seem repetitive, like a cycle that just keeps going on, but what's different from NU compared to like these other schools that can't even reach a like 30 game winning streak or like a 20 game winning streak, because you guys went over 100?
Yeah. I think that's just around the culture that NU has built. Like, it's so easy to be content with where you are, and I think that's definitely what happened with us this year. When we lost the game, we kind of felt like we always have a chance to come back.
Mm-hmm.
But in that game, it was like we still felt that at halftime until there was no time left.
Yeah, okay.
Um, but yeah, I think it's the culture of the players. You're not only like representing yourself, but like we have represented women's basketball like in the Philippines as a whole, like internationally. I think um, the NU team and the culture that they've built over the last 6, 7, 8 years has is a big part of what has elevated women's basketball. And I think that it's only right for us to continue to build what our seniors, the players before us built. I think for that's what it is for me personally. I think it's never really been about the streak or the amount of games you've won. I think it's just about respecting everything that the people before you have built and wanting to push it further as much as you can and whatever capabilities that you can because you realize that like these people have put in so much of their time, their effort into making NU what it is. So it's only right for us to continue it.
But you mentioned that one game that you were talking about that you guys lost to LaSalle. I mean, I'm from LaSalle. And I got surprised we actually won that game because
Yeah.
I was in MOA actually because we had that men's basketball game that day, and playing against LaSalle, and you guys actually didn't lose anymore after that. So how did you guys bounce back from that? I mean, I've heard like Ateneo men's basketball players because they had that long winning streak also. Then they lost to UP in season 84, like
Yeah.
elimination round, and then felt they weren't used to the feeling of losing. And what more you guys? I mean, you've never lost in like your collegiate career. So how did
Yeah.
you adjust or adapt to the situation, or you personally, or how did you even help maybe your other teammates that had a difficult time accepting that, and you saying like it's just one loss. I mean, we can still win the championship, and isn't that like the ultimate goal?
Yeah. I mean, at the start of the season, everyone talks about the streak, but we don't. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, we knew it was there, we knew it was coming, but I think it put more pressure on us in the wrong way than it did in a good way. This year, for this year, maybe not past
Mm-hmm.
years, but for this year, that's what I felt. Um, and then when it came to that game afterwards, like, everyone was so emotional, of course. Like, but the managers and everyone were actually like really supportive. We didn't know how they would react, but they were actually really supportive about the loss. But for me, it was just like I never want to feel this again. Like, I felt so embarrassed for all of my, because a lot of my closest friends here in the Philippines are all alumni of NU. So
Mm.
all people who have played for NU who have never lost. So for me, I felt like embarrassed that like, oh, I was part of the team that lost. So I kind of just told my teammates, I was like, it happened. Like, we got to get over it because like the goal is never the streak. The goal is always the championship. No matter how we get there, the goal is always to win the championship because that's all that matters, right? So I think it was just it was like rough few practices until we finally got into the groove and we're like it doesn't matter. It's one loss. Like, imagine how like if you put into the scheme of things like how funny it is that the whole world will celebrate like this one win, our one loss, right? But to us, it means it shouldn't mean that much compared to everything that we've already accomplished. So let's do everything we can to make people forget about it, you know? And it definitely showed in the finals. LaSalle says they played the perfect game for them to beat us on that
Yeah.
loss, but I feel like we also played the worst game of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So it does take a perfect game to beat NU, but at the same time, like there was definitely things we could have done to prevent it, but they earned that win, so that was good for them. But in the finals, goes to show that maybe it wasn't necessarily like maybe it could have been a fluke. We could call it a fluke, but yeah, to win by like 30 plus points in both games of the finals, I think it was definitely like a statement for us. And we definitely had a chip in our shoulder just because that loss was just awful. So we just wanted to make sure that we were able to do everything we could to make a statement, show that NU is still number one.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You made a statement. I mean, the game was over like in the first half in both those games. But yeah, but you mentioned also NU and the program they made, and then, like you guys have the stars, as you mentioned, that like in Gilas, a lot of the players are from NU. But how does the team like accept like roles, like specific roles, and thrive in it? Because like I'm pretty sure you know, like you also watch the
Yeah.
NBA, that there are teams that put all these stars together, but they can't accept being together because of their ego or pride or whatever. But for
Mhm.
NU, I don't know if there's that problem. But then if you watch them on the court, like if you only play like 15 to 20 minutes, even if you're capable to play 30, if you're in another school, 35, like they
Yeah.
accept it. Basta you guys are able to win. So how does that imparted to you guys na consistently that you guys you guys accept it naman?
Yeah, I think that something that people don't realize when you join NU. Like everyone thinks, oh, we're just joining NU to be part of a winning program, so I could automatically get like a championship. But there are people who can. Almost all of my teammates, I believe that they could be on any team, starting
Yeah,
five, make instant impact.
yeah,
But I think that their ability to settle into a role that maybe they don't necessarily think that they should be in, like just so that it'll help the team, I think that's what NU culture is about. Like, always putting the team first, um, and being willing to compete. Like, there are people that may be in your position, but they're going to compete every day to make sure that you don't think that you deserve it, that I deserve it. So it's always an ongoing competition with everyone on the team. But it's healthy. Like, we always compete to make each other better. And yeah, it really is amazing to see that. Like, so many people who are so skilled, so talented, are willing to just do their job for the bigger picture.
Yeah, but yeah, with NU, like it's easy to say it. Like some other schools or some other like grassroots program, they'd want to be like NU, but then they're not close to it or they're not even there yet. So how would you like tell people like the head of a grassroots program or head of like a varsity program? Since I know you're an like advocate of like making basketball like grow in the women's stratosphere here in the Philippines. So yeah, how would you like yeah advise people that they should even should but then like and use like a great way to like be a starting point in order to be successful here in the
Mm.
Philippines in terms of the younger generation so that when they get older it would be great for like national team and everything.
Yeah, I think, like, first of all, like, the mentality should always just be never be satisfied and to always work to be better than the person next to you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you always have to compete and to work on your individual skills. Like, every year, especially in that loss, we saw all of our weaknesses, and I think that's the being willing, like being open to change and being willing to hear the critiques is a big part of becoming a better player. And definitely, NU has been able to kind of have that tough love ever since. So just pushing the players to become the best that they can be and not letting them settle for just like second, third place. Like, you always want to fight to be that best player, but it doesn't come just overnight. Like, it's constant sacrifice, constant dedication to just wanting to be better. So I think that just that want, that desire to be better than everyone around you makes us the team that we are.
Yeah, how many years do you still have on in NU like to play?
Technically, three.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so technically, because I've only played 2 years in the UAAP, but I'm only for sure gonna play this year, this season. That's only my for sure. I don't know about the next 2 years.
There's like an age limit pa rin though. Like even if you still have three,
Yeah.
you can't play like
Oh yeah, but
until
I'm only
whatever.
22, so I
Oh,
still
it's
have
still.
all three. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Even with COVID, the COVID year, if it was added, I would still have three.
Oh, did you start college
Yeah.
early? Is that why like
I
you're still?
started. I don't know what's considered early here because I started when I was I as in I the day I turned 18 was the day I enrolled in NU. Is
Yeah, I
that
think that's
early?
early. Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
then yes, I started
18. So
early.
okay, but yeah, playing able to play in NU and yeah, you going here. You said in an article before that you went here like to have an impact of girls in Philippines. Culture of basketball here in the Philippines to change for the women's basketball. So like ever since you got here, would you say that there's a lot that has changed like for the better like here for women's basketball and what do you think are the good points and what are the points that they still need to improve because there's a lot like before I'm pretty sure you knew that not a lot give importance or the support that funding that you mentioned like there was barely
Mm.
anything before but it's been getting better so yeah what do you see as the great points and the like points that they must still focus on if they want to be like in the likes of Japan as you mentioned.
Compared 2019 to 2023 is a world of a difference. I came here and
Mm-hmm.
I was shook. I was like, what kind of support is this? I was like, nobody cared about women's basketball at all.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to 2023, you can't scroll on your feed without seeing something about women's basketball, whether that's like some program, an event, a team that went overseas. Like, there are so many more opportunities and so many more flashes of women's basketball in the media nowadays. And I think that's that's the accumulation of everyone willing to kind of push that narrative of women's basketball is on the rise forward. There were only some people like a little group of people who would do that in 2019. But then after, everyone started to kind of like join in that. Like, they were really, oh, maybe it is on the rise. Let me start
Mm-hmm.
supporting in a little way. And I think that that little support over time definitely did add up, as we see, like, to be on a cover, to have commercials, to
Mhm.
have teams that can go overseas and play in tournaments sponsored by local Filipino brands like Titan. The effort that Titan, Slam, all of those big time companies have put into women's basketball, it's so amazing to see, and I'm so thankful that I have been working with those people ever since, because like, they definitely believed in the vision before everybody else did. And to see that they're the ones behind us till now is just so amazing to see. And kulang, what's kulang? Um, Definitely just like, for me, like, the main thing really is that pro league. Like, it's so hard to continue to want to play basketball when there's nothing to look forward to after college. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
there are one or two teams that could maybe go 3-on-3, or you can join Gilas. But after Gilas, also, what is there? Right?
Yeah. What if
There's
there's no
two.
tournament?
Yeah, what if there's no tournament for 2 years, like
Yeah.
now, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to look forward to as an athlete, especially athletes who are done with their college career, who have to provide for their families? Like, it comes to the point where basketball is not worth it to pursue. That's what it really comes down to in the Philippines.
Mhm.
It's not worth it to pursue because there's no support, there's no money. As much as you love the game, there's so many things that you need to provide for in your life. Like, that's just reality. Like, not everyone is able to just play basketball for fun their whole lives, right? So that a pro league is definitely the number one thing we need. And then building, yeah, that grassroots program. Like, we have so many good programs, like, run by Mariana Lopa, like the Girls Got Game or Roll Girls, like, who have been working with young girls playing all different kinds of sports, because that's also something what that I love to see. Like, not only basketball, like, get girls into sports in general, because sports, honestly, I can't imagine what my life would be like without sports. So
Mhm.
I think that just getting these girls out and building that confidence from a young stage, like, next in a couple of years down the line, I feel like there'll be like hundreds of people who advocate like me, who are willing to speak their mind and not care what other people think. Like, I can definitely see that being like, but for now, there's only a small few of us, just because it's so hard to put yourself out there. But building these programs, building the confidence in these girls, that's just the number one step in the right direction.
What happened to the pro league, the one you mentioned? Is that still like gonna go ongoing? Like, didn't they have like something before, like a draft, something like that?
Yeah, that was like a one time, big time thing from what I know. I don't know. I heard many different stories about it. I don't know what actually happened, but basically, there are only like four technically government teams, right? So there's Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, something like that. So those teams were already in that tournament, but you can't play for those teams unless you're in those
There.
government
Mhm.
organizations, right? So that's already four teams gone, and there were only like two other teams that you could actually try out for. So that's maybe what, less than
Sick.
30 spots,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in those teams, one of those teams didn't even pay for their fees or didn't pay
Mm.
their players. So they got disbanded right before the tournament ended. So that left one actual team who was paying
Mm-hmm.
their players and competing.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't keep that up. Like, it's not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, but we see it with PVL. Like, they've added, what, 4 or 5 new teams just
Yeah,
this
yeah,
tournament, right?
yeah.
So it's possible. It's not impossible to do it. It's just if you're willing, if people are willing to invest in women's basketball the way they invest in women's volleyball. So it's definitely possible. It's just the logistics of it is really difficult.
Yeah, but yeah, you mentioned that yeah, you're one of the like proprietors of like being expressive of women like in sports and basketball, like getting more exposure. And it's helping a lot when you mentioned with the media, with the media exposure you guys are getting and the attention that fans are learning more about your stories and why you guys deserve the same attention as like men in sports. So like as an athlete, how would you encourage like your other athletes that are like laid back or like they're timid in order to like, share their advocacy or their love for like women's basketball, like compared to you who's like more expressive? Or also how do you like maybe not to be too like makulit or annoying in terms of it? Like how do you balance that out? How do you encourage people to do that if they want to?
The thing that I always tell them is the worst people can say to you is no.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's gonna happen if you just sit around and let life pass you by. If you want something, you have to pursue it 100% because you're in charge of the things that come into your life. You're in charge of the opportunities that come forward to you. If you're not willing to put yourself out there to get those opportunities, then you're the only person to blame. I think that when people think about, oh, it may be like yeah, or like I don't want to be seen like as that person. Just think about it. You're not only doing it for yourself. Like there's so many people you're going to be able to help out once you step forward and step into that light and put yourself out there. Like one time, like just little things, asking for little things helps start that conversation. Just be willing to start a conversation because there's so many people who are scared to just start it. But once you
Mm-hmm.
start that conversation, they're willing to come along with you. So, like, you just never know who you can help out. And I think that's always been like my mentality. Like, I know I can get what I want because I'm willing to speak for it. But how much can I get for others by doing the same? So it's just a collective effort. And I think that that's why, no matter how small, the women's basketball community is so inspiring here in the Philippines because there's just like certain people who are willing to do so much even though they get nothing in return.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, as we can see, like now, it's people are finally getting what they deserve. Jack Animum finally getting
Yeah.
Nike contract, being on a billboard, getting
Yeah.
contracts overseas. Like that didn't come overnight. Like she's been working towards that for her entire life. Like there's people who are NU who are only getting their break on Gilas now, like
Mm-hmm.
because they've been willing to put themselves out there. People in the community have been giving them those opportunities, and I think that it's just a collective effort. And I hope people join in that community so that more opportunities come.
Yeah, yeah. Since you have like a strong opinion on things like these, I'm curious to say because I'm pretty sure you've heard that some Filipinos would say that we should focus on sports where we could thrive in worldwide, like football or boxing or billiards or like where Manny Pacquiao was good or Efren Bata Reyes or yeah, football. Even if we've not been good because we lack the height. So how would you tell people that it's not like wrong or it's like it's okay to like have 100% belief in basketball even if yeah you mentioned that we lack the height like going against Australia we're really tall women like yeah what's your take on that and why would you say that people should not be like negative on our like possible ascension or like growth in basketball may it be women's or men's.
Well, you never know what you're capable of doing until it's done. I'm sure they did
Mm-hmm.
not think that the first gold medal was going to come from a woman. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many things that people, especially here in the Philippines, oh, so toxic. Like, like they're so willing to put you down. Like when they don't see any fruition anything coming from what you're doing, but as soon as they see that one little success, they're all hopping on the bandwagon.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you just have to like cut that culture real quick because it's just so annoying to see. Like there's so many there's so many avenues that people can be successful, but there are so many people you have to overcome before you do that. Like there are so many haters, especially in the country, like for Gilas women's and men's. Like there are so many people who get like discouraged because the people around them are like not letting them pursue what they want. Even like your family members. Like there's so many
Mm-hmm.
family members who wouldn't want their daughters daughters to pursue sports like basketball or boxing or sports that are more like for men because they don't see a future in it. But if that's what they want, they should be able to pursue it despite what people think. And not everyone can. And I think that that's what's sad because it's so hard to it's so hard to go against the grain, especially here in the Philippines. You get critiqued for every little thing you do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my advice to those people is just forget about what they say. There's always going to be someone hating.
Mm-hmm.
Like haters are my motivators. That's what I tell them. Like, who cares what people think? Like, are they the ones making the decisions for you? They're not going to have to live with your decisions. You are. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to pursue something, that's what you believe. is meant for you, then do it. Do it wholeheartedly, because there will always be haters, but there's only one person to decide for your life, and that should be you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you being vocal and like expressive on like your opinions on sports and women in sports. Did it also do you think that was also an avenue for you to be like active on social media and also be have these opportunities like being on the game and being a writer for NBA.com and NBA Hype? Like, do you think these are like avenues for you to also like continue growing your brand and getting your voice heard, like compared to like previous years wherein no one even had the opportunity to do that? Like not like you who now like with the rise of media like you're able to do that.
Yeah, I think that like especially making connections,
Mm-hmm.
little like talking to photographers you see at your games, or talking to continuing the conversation after interviews with people, like those little things make a world of a difference, and they open up opportunities for not only myself but for my team. I'm so glad that they're willing to give opportunities to girls in sports, just because I think they don't get a lot of opportunities. So I think that any opportunity is a good opportunity. Honestly, there's sometimes where like interviews become repetitive, or like questions in the media become repetitive, but like you just have to go along with it, because any exposure for women's basketball is good exposure, whether good or bad. Getting our name out there is what we need, and I think everyone should be willing to kind of just do that one interview or talk to that one person, because you never know where it could lead.
Mm-hmm. How about with like the WNBA? Like I'm pretty sure you've heard a lot about it that they've also like tried to make their voice heard, like Sila Suber, Diana Taurasi, Candice Parker. So how about from their side? Like what do you think they've been trying to do like that's been succeeding compared to like the previous WNBA players? Like why do you think do you think that we could also try to copy them or try to emulate them in order to make the WNBA maybe like their actions in order to grow their league possibly also be here, because like now the WNBA is bigger compared to what it was like maybe 5 years ago.
Mm, I think a big thing is just getting sponsors who share the same vision. It's hard. Getting sponsors is one thing, but to get sponsors who really listen to the players, who listen to the teams, is another thing. And I think that's what they're doing over there. Like they're getting people who really align with their vision. They're willing to speak their mind and put their needs out to the public so that everyone can see it, and force these people who are in higher positions to make their lives easier, to help them out. Because once you call people out, they're forced to take action. So I'm a big supporter in calling people out if they're not doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes I get in trouble for it, but at the same time, most of the time it does work out in our favor. So I think that people here should be more willing to call people out, call especially the people in power. Um, demand what you deserve, because a lot of things go under the table. We forget about certain things, we just brush it aside, but we're just so used to receiving less that once we get a little bit, we feel like it's the entire world. But I think now we have to realize that we deserve this and more. So it's only a matter of time until people agree and deserve the same things.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully that happens. I mean, I'm excited also like to support like women's basketball more, because now even me like I'm like a basketball fan since before, but it's only like the last couple of years where I'm like more informed or like aware of the whatever is happening in women's basketball. And like the women's basketball finals in the UAP, it was televised, or like the FIBA Asia Cup, it was televised. Like before, I don't think you could
Mm-hmm.
watch those games on like free TV. So it's been a good head start. But like yeah, there's still stuff like for example the World Cup appearance of the women's in football. Like, it's not we don't have like cable rights. Like no one got it right for World Cup, so it won't be shown. Like we need to stream it or something. So
Oh,
yeah,
you have to find illegal streams, yeah, stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like, and that team came to support us in Australia, and it was so nice. It's just like the
Mm-hmm.
women's sports community as a whole just knows how difficult it is to be a Filipina in sport,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that they can just come together is so nice to see.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, how about you? Like you playing basketball? Like you mentioned that there's the league here is not like stable yet. There's no like stable basketball league. Like after NU, like do you plan to play somewhere else, like abroad or what? Because like Gilas, it's like you're only gonna play every couple of months, every couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if the opportunity comes up, I would love to try it. But it's definitely not something I would pursue long term. It'd probably just be like, if I can play overseas for like a 1 or 2 years just to see how it is for another experience. Because I love just leaving a country and moving to the next one. Like, I feel like that's a habit of
Mm.
mine. But I think it's definitely something to look forward to. Like, I definitely have a long way to go before I can get those opportunities. But hopefully in the future that does come up.
Also, you have other interests like for your job, like not become a basketball player if you're really gonna try.
No, I have
What's
no
your
interest at all. I don't know what I want to pursue. I just know that I
oh
don't want to pursue basketball long term.
oh okay okay. I thought you had like a vision already. But what your course is like finance, right, or something?
Yeah, financial management, but I'm not going to pursue anything finance. Let's be real. Like, maybe like somewhere in the marketing side, sports journalism, yeah, stuff like that. Like doing stuff on the off the court that still helps on the court.
Oh, sports journalism. Yeah. How was that experience being on the game? Like, did you enjoy it? Like, now that you're also like NBA hype and NBA.com, like, how did you get that opportunity? Because you were just a player for NU. Like, did they contact you during the pandemic? Like, how
Yeah,
was that?
they contacted me during the pandemic. I don't know. I don't know if it was because they saw me in interviews or like word of
Most
mouth.
probably. Yeah.
But yeah, NBA hype was definitely fun. That was probably like the one I enjoyed the most because it was super low key, like easy to talk to. The game was a little more stressful because I'm not used to like it being because that's live. The game is live.
Yeah.
NBA hype is not.
Yeah.
So the game was definitely a little more stressful and definitely like put me to the test. But I'm definitely thankful for that opportunity. Like goes to show that like these people are really like prepared in what they do and like I definitely need to work on that. Or maybe like sportscasting, like commentating after. Like I would definitely be open to trying stuff like that.
Yeah. Was it there like an episode before they made you like the host on the game because like Pao was on traffic or something? I remember
Yes,
that.
and I was so stressed out. Like I was so thankful that my guest was Aaron Black, and like I guess he realized that Paolo wasn't there, so he was like helping me answer. He was like making his questions answers really long. I was like, thank goodness, because I could not do this.
How was that like? Did like when it was like 10 minutes left, 20 minutes left, they were like, "Oh, can you host?"
Yeah, they were putting an earpiece in me. They're like, Camille, you just have to like open the show. Like Paolo will come later, but there's nothing we can do. I was like, oh my god, okay. I didn't even have time to prep or anything. Like, I just found out who I was asking. I didn't know any background because I did not follow Morocco. Like, I only follow Sean's team, so it was so stressful. But Aaron Black saved me for sure.
Oh, that was the Meralco segment. So how do you ask him the questions if you weren't like
I think I
watching
was just
them? Or...
asking him more about like basketball, like as a point guard, like what can he work on, or I don't know. I don't even remember. I like chose to forget about that. That was so stressful.
Yeah, I got surprised as well because I don't know. It seemed like that you just got shocked that you were in that
Yes,
position. Like, yeah.
yes, I did.
Yeah, but yeah. Before we wrap up, Camille, thank you for joining me here again on the podcast. I asked like my guests a couple of questions that I will ask everyone. So for the first one, I'm pretty sure you know like the NBA bubble. That's where the players were starting to be more vocal on like social and political issues. And like here in the Philippines, yeah, as we mentioned earlier, people are more like timid or laid back when it comes to these things. But then and during the pandemic when there were issues with the government or whatever social issues we had, people are more vocal, and especially like in the elections, like people will like talk about who they like or their opinions on whatever was comes up. So as a athlete and as a sports personality, like what's your opinion on athletes being more vocal on like these social and political issues, and like how can they like have an impact with their platform and amplifying their voice to the country?
Oh, I love it. I love
Mhm.
when people speak their opinions, even if I don't agree with it. The fact that
Yeah.
you're so passionate about what you believe in that you're willing to tell the world, I think that's such a great quality to see in people, and especially if you know the impact that you have. And especially as athletes nowadays, we have such a big impact on the next generation. Like being a role model to them and showing them that whatever you believe in matters, and if you're willing to fight for it, like do so. I think that's just a great message to put out to the world.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I also agree with it. Like some people have like say like you should just play ball or whatever, but then I feel like yeah, you should yeah, like you're a citizen of the country as well, and you should be able to yeah express your opinions, and like, you never know like what you share might make a difference with the followers that you have. Like they might be aware of that whatever like that stance or the opinion you shared on your social media or whatever. So yeah,
Yep.
for the next question, if you had the opportunity to have dinner with five people, dead or alive, who would you invite?
Dead or alive? Um, okay, I think mine are all alive, honestly. Like these are just people I can think of the top of my head. Okay, Sue
Go.
Bird.
Mm-hmm.
Um, shoot, what's that girl's name? The famous tennis woman.
Serena Williams. No.
No, was he the one
Go.
that fought for all the rights of like? Well, I feel like I should pick someone else since I don't know her name.
Billie Jean King.
Um,
I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah,
her.
that
I
one.
think
Yeah.
her.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I watch tennis, so I
Um,
kind of know the names of
yeah,
these people. Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Um, Ray Allen, just because he's my favorite
Uh,
player.
yeah.
Um, Frank Ocean, my favorite
Mm,
artist.
yeah.
So that's four. Um, I feel like I want to pick someone dead. I don't know anyone I can think of. Um, let's just go with another artist. Drake. I'll go with Drake.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great list. You're gonna have fun for that night for sure. A
It's a
lot of
party.
entertainment and learning at the same time. Like,
Yeah.
wisdom to learn. So yeah, for the final question, since I invite people here on the DVD show like through social media or email, since I want to like get to meet people, since I want to be in sports media in the future, like who would you suggest that would have a great story to tell, or just like a fun person to talk to about sports, like current sporting events? Yeah, who would you suggest that I invite here in the pod? Doesn't need to be basketball.
Mm.
Also, it could be like any sport. But then I'm just focused a lot on basketball and volleyball because that's what
A
I'm
fun
familiar with. But
person?
then, yeah, any
Fun?
sports.
Pongay. Pongay is a
Oh yeah,
very
I got
fun
her
person. You
recently.
got her already? Okay.
Yeah.
She's great. Oh my god, so
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Basketball? Have you talked to Gabe Norwood?
Yeah, but I haven't like before, pa like 2021. I haven't had him
Mm.
again. So yeah, could have him back.
Yeah, I feel like those are fun personalities that I would think of. Um, who would I want to hear about?
Yeah, someone like even other sports maybe because I'm not that familiar with the other sports honestly. Like I only know like sila EJ Obiena, sila
Yeah,
Aga Yeah.
that's fair. Someone from the women's football team.
Oh, okay, yeah. I
Yeah,
haven't.
I definitely would want to hear from like their side of things, like how the support has been or how it is kind of like playing with all Philams. I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I should actually try. I haven't actually even like tried getting any of them. So yeah,
Because there's some
hopefully.
from
And
LaSalle. So,
who?
I think there's we just met her, Ina
Oh yeah, I
Palacio.
haven't. I interviewed her before, but for the Lasallian, not for the podcast yet. So yeah, I've talked to her before on Facebook. So yeah,
Yeah,
maybe I'll invite her on the podcast. I think she's like willing naman to go on like
yeah.
podcast. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. Thank you again, Camille, for joining me here on the
Thank
podcast.
you.
And do you have any final message before you go?
Um, thank you to everyone who supports. Continue supporting women's basketball because it's worth it. That's it.
Okay, before you go, is it okay if we take a picture?
Of course.
Okay, I'll take it from here. One, two, three. Wait, this one take. One, two, three. Okay, there. Thank you
Thank
again, Camille, for
you.
joining me here on the podcast. And yeah, see you soon.
Thank you.